Still the best opening on YouTube. Welcome to Hobby Think Tank. I'm Danny. That is Mike, and we are here for another episode to solve all the world's problems or talk sports cards.
Well, I mean, we
You and
could
I could
solve the
do either
world's
one.
problems, but we have 30 minutes to kill. We could solve the world's problems in like 10. So,
So let's do. How about we do sports cards,
okay.
and you and I talked about it. Let's do things that on the sports calendar, the triggers that move our meter, the stuff that gets us going to actually get off our rear ends and buy some cards, stuff that we might not have bought if it didn't happen. I think on the sports calendar.
Yeah, I think that's a great differentiator because there are cards that we might not otherwise even look for if not for some sporting miracle like the Rangers winning the World Series.
Well, I'm surprised you picked that one.
I'm sure you're shocked. Yes.
Right, exactly. So, but that was the precipitous to the conversation. Was me asking you, if you bought because of the World Series, and you said what?
I said yes. I did. I went and bought a Rangers team set, just the team set for this year. That turned into a disaster because I ended up getting Series 1 in one envelope, Series 2 in another envelope from the same seller. Like this is all one order right on eBay, and I still haven't seen the update series cards, which he promises are on the way, and I don't know that I believe it. So, but yes, I bought those just to commemorate it. There's Tops Now stuff that's instant, and I bought a NLCS or I'm sorry, ALCS card of the Ranger celebration, and I only bought that. I think $9 for a Tops Now card is just dumb, but for a card that's really worth a quarter, that just seems silly to me. Or it'll be in a quarter box in a month. But I bought one because I had a $5 off, coupon from Tops or whatever for rewards points or whatever. And so I ended up buying it, and I regretted it instantly. I regretted it in the sense that there's now Tops Now cards of a complete set of the Rangers that you can get commemorating the World Series championship. And I'm a card guy and I'm not buying it, because it's $45, $40 if you buy 10 or more sets. And then you get a parallel, kind of guarantee. And I'm like, they'll just literally, because I thought about it. Luckily, it wasn't a 24-hour thing. It was a 1 month. Like it's till December 1st, I could actually buy this set. And I thought,
by the way, that's not Tops Now. That's Tops sort of eventually.
Right. Tops at some point in the near future.
Right.
And the crux of it was that I knew this. If I bought these, I would look at them, I would think they're cool for a moment, and they would go in the closet and only be seen when I'm, moving things around. It's not a set that I'm like, I really love this set. And so what I do recognize is Tops Now is pretty smart. They get a lot of impulse buyers, right, to buy these Tops Now cards, given whatever event and whatever your team is. A guy hits 3 home runs, there's a Tops Now card the next day, and you might have been emotionally, involved in that game, watched it, whatever, a walk off, this or that, and you're really happy and you buy a card in the moment. I wonder if they did an instant regret, or 24-hour later regret poll of people on Tops Now. How many would answer in the affirmative? Did you buy any Orioles cards? There wasn't a whole lot to celebrate, but did you buy any?
Hey now. First of all, there was a Gunnar Henderson Rookie of the Year Tops Now card that it's so funny you just said that. I had in my shopping cart.
Yeah.
And I took a deep breath and said, do I really, really want this? And I said, you know what? If I was going to do the autograph version, maybe. They had a dual auto Gunnar, Corbin Carroll rookie, but I ended up not buying it.
So how much was the autograph? Like they're like $3.99 or something crazy.
It was something ridiculous. It was something where it was like, you know what, Tops Appreciate it. Thank you. Very cool card, but not happening for me. But I would have never gone to the site had Gunner not won. I mean, they got
Okay.
me far. So I will say that, I actually listed a Gunner card that I've wanted to sell a couple days before. So I don't know if that plays into our conversation, but anticipating him winning, there was a card I did list.
So to that point, I think there can be other cards that you might go like you might go get a Corbin Carroll or Gunnar Henderson base rookie card from Topps, PSA 10 or whatever whether ungraded or graded for your collection based on the award. I certainly do that. I'm an MVP Cy Young guy, so I want autographs of every Cy Young and MVP winner in my collection. I just think it's kind of a neat little side project,
Very
and
cool.
these were the best players of that year. And I know guys take it as far as they want that year's card of that player that won the MVP. If Ohtani wins it, which I expect him, that's tomorrow night, I believe. That'll be Wednesday night that we're going to air this Thursday.
Yep.
But so we'll already know who the MVPs are. We don't right now because we're recording this before that. But Ohtani wins. People would want the 2023 Shohei Ohtani base card as a, hey, these are the MVPs this year.
That makes sense. I mean, that's cool. Now, does the manager of the year move your meter?
No.
Because Brandon Hyde won that.
Well, congratulations to a guy who's 0-3 in the playoffs. That's great.
It's all we had left. you bring me on. Just so you guys know, Mike and I are Rangers and Orioles fans, and well, if you saw the playoffs, which one of us is enjoying this conversation more than the other.
But we did not bet, just so everybody knows. We didn't bet because honestly, I thought the Orioles were going to be maybe a year early for them, honestly, and maybe a year early for the Rangers too, right? I don't think anybody, at least I'm a huge fan, and I didn't expect the run that we went on. I mean, we won 11 of the 13 games we won in the playoffs to win the World Series. We're on the road. Who does that?
Well, here to that point, I became a Corey Seager fan, and he's on my off-season list once his prices calm down a little bit.
Okay, so you you watched an event, you went, wow, he's and it doesn't have to be Corey Seager. I'm just saying this happens to people all the time. And I think that's very natural, especially for modern and ultra modern cards or players. Obviously, we did that as kids. I would watch players, and man, I love how that person played. I collected Darryl Strawberry. I'm a Texan collecting Darryl Strawberry because I loved his swing. I loved how he played.
Sure.
And so I start buying his cards. It wasn't even a local thing. It was just a admiration from afar, and went, wow, that's a guy I think is really cool.
But without the World Series, I don't do that. So,
right.
So what else on the calendar moves the meter for you? And I know you're a Hall of Fame guy, so I got to ask: is that a natural?
For me, that's the day on the sports calendar, the baseball calendar for sure, that I look forward to the most, and that's the day they announce the Hall of Fame. I put it on my calendar. I don't schedule anything else. I want to watch it, and I know there's other guys out there that think like I do with that.
Yep.
And I prospect Hall of Famers. So I know in early December, I think it's December 3rd or 5th. I actually should know the date. I literally looked this morning and I can't remember what the date is that they're going to announce the Veterans Committee selections this year.
We're also recording this in the middle of the night, just so people know.
Yeah, I'm tired. I've had a long day, but I don't remember. But point being, that's a day I'm looking forward to because it's a fun day to go, was I right? Was I wrong? I remember I never bought not Duke Snyder, Gil Hodges stuff. Never picked up an autograph, never picked up anything. And it was, I just don't think he'll ever get in. And he gets in and I'm like, oh crap. Now I'm fighting an uphill battle to compete with all the other people that are wanting to add him to their. And I know other Hall of Fame collectors that don't do it until they're in because they feel like they're kind of wasting money. Believe me, it costs way less to buy them all and be wrong on a few of them than to wait. Seriously, I mean, I know that sounds
Well,
counterintuitive.
there's only a couple that are borderline. I mean, you're not. It's not like you have to buy 100 guys.
Correct. But you've got this year, you've got Piniella, Leland, Joe West, Bill White. Like there's some guys that maybe not now, but someday will probably get in. I think Piniella gets in. I think Joe West gets in. And I think Bill White has an outside chance. The way the Veterans Committee is set up is that only a few, because you have to have so many votes that the math can't work where you can only vote for so many guys. And so only two or three can get in at the most, based on the math. And so you don't have to think that side far out of the box, Danny, to your point. But those are definitely things that move me off dead center on going to look for cards, and I get excited about that. I get excited about when the announcements are made, MVP, Cy Young. I want autographs. I don't collect all their cards. I just want autographs of each of those players. Again, kind of weird little side hustle, side project. But like I don't have an Ohtani autograph yet. He won, a couple years ago, and I still don't have one because they're just so dumb expensive. But I don't have Thurman Munson. I don't have, guys like Elston Howard. There's some guys, but very few. Like one hand I can count the number of guys I don't have an autograph for that have won MVP. Cy Young's much easier because you get weird guys like Jake Peavy that come out of nowhere and win an MVP, or Randy Jones for the Padres back in '76 or whatever year it was.
You picked two Padres there. Do you have something against the Padres?
No, that was just coincidence, quite frankly. So now the World Series did make me buy. Like I wouldn't have bought. I bought this card at the Dallas show. Corey Seager, Adrian Beltre, dual patch auto.
Do you buy that if the team finishes 500 this year?
No, I don't. So this was a total impulse purchase in the, drinking the Kool-Aid enthusiasm of the Rangers victory. And
you're an educated sports fan, an educated collector. You're not a somebody who's being talked into something at the checkout line. Yet it moved your meter.
It did. And that's a card I'm glad to own now, obviously. But I bought it after the World Series, but I wouldn't have done that. I would have thought it was cool, but I probably wouldn't have gone so far as to buy it, just like you thought about the Gunnar Henderson.
So I love baseball prospecting still a little bit. So for me, the baseball draft is something that I circle on my calendar. That's my, I mean, the Hall of Fame, I actually do block off the announcement time. But not all day, just the announcement. The draft is that's like 3 days of me in a cave.
So that's fascinating to me. Let me ask you a question about that. So is it, you're watching the draft, and are you watching particularly who the Orioles are drafting, or just who's going high up and what teams? And if, this guy is going to this team, so that means he's got a pretty clear path to the majors, or are you doing all of that analysis?
I'm doing it much more self-centered of who's going to be on minor league teams near me that I might get to watch and how high are they ranked. I like seeing guys in person. We're very blessed. I've got a lot of minor league teams within driving distance. So I want to see all the top prospects that are going to come through to the circuit, whatever level it is, and who has a chance to go to the majors. And those, I end up buying a lot of cards of those guys.
So it's weird because the draft will happen, but then, they won't make their first appearance on cardboard until Bowman.
Yeah.
Either Bowman or Bowman draft sometime months later. Right. So,
and if you're the second pick, you get held back another,
Right. So it's an interesting thing that usually the event is instantly triggering a purchase of cards potentially, versus the draft, which is there's no cards for some period of time, months usually. That's an interesting dynamic.
Well, to your point on the Hall of Fame and the pricing, I can't buy the cards in advance. So I'm much more into that second round guy.
Right.
You know, they have to be good enough to get a card, but not good enough to get expensive, and that's my sweet spot.
Okay, that's fair.
But but I enjoy that. I'm a vintage collector mainly, but there's very few things outside of the Hall of Fame that move that on the calendar for me. You
And
know
I know
that
we're talking exclusively baseball, but you can think about the Wembyama effect, you know, and him being drafted number 1 and the hype surrounding him and what it did to cards for him. But it's funny, I don't think your average basketball fan, are they buying Wemby cards? I don't maybe. I guess I'm not in that world, so I don't have a whole lot of insight there, but
once again, I think the hype came out so far before the cards that they came out so expensive.
right. That it
Um,
priced a lot of people out. Your average collector is like,
yeah.
I'll wait down the road, you know.
Now, what if somebody pitches a no hitter?
No,
Nothing for
that
you.
doesn't move the needle for me, even
Okay.
if it was for my team.
Okay.
But thrilled about it. But again, it doesn't, which is funny because you got to be to me, fandom and sports cards are this perfect marriage, right? To me, it's hard to really love sports cards if you don't like the sport that you're buying the cards for. That makes zero sense to me if that was true. And yet again, even a moment never happened before the World Series set comes out, and I'm like, I think I'll pass. You know, um, it was just I'm good. Maybe I'll pick it up on the secondary market if it's cheap. You know what I mean? It's not like I
Right.
don't like the cards. I just don't like them at $45. And then I'm kind of going to myself, well, it's only 40. You know, let's say $50 with shipping or whatever. It's like, is it really? I've spent $50 on worse. You know, but
That should be the barometer for every time you buy something. I, I've spent it on worse.
right. I bought a brick of Kevin Moss rookies, you know,
Uh,
back in
yeah.
the day, but I don't know. You know, I think about other sports, like if Ovechkin breaks Gretzky's goal record, let's say career goals, you know, does that move the needle on hit? Does that make people go buy Ovechkin cards? And I think yes, for some, I would think that would be a trigger moment. Someone hits
Well,
500 home runs. Someone, you know,
ex-
breaks a record, like not just pitching a no hitter. That seems much more minute compared to
so
Pujols hitting 700.
a career record.
Yeah, a career achievement, I think, gets because it gets people talking, and it's really funny. You're going to see starting in about month and a half, 6 weeks. Beltray cards are going to, you know, meaning Beltray is going to be started talking about because he's kind of the slam dunk guy on next year's ballot,
Let me write
and
that down. That was Adrian Beltre.
it is. You're welcome. No, just, but I think his cards will get more attention. And there's this sweet spot that I love between retirement and first year on the ballot where the players aren't active. So they're not being in new sets. They're not, you know, they kind of fade away a little bit in the memories of card people. You have this window to pick. Ichiro is in that window right now, right?
I am buying Ichiro right now, so I
Right.
agree with you. Yes.
So it's this, take advantage of that. Again, I think we're too heavy on the Hall of Fame, but I'm just using that as an example.
But as people who outside of my baseball prospecting, you and I are both vintage heavy. It's hard on vintage when most of the guys are past to have stuff on the sports calendar to move the needle.
Right.
So
But I think
um,
it's funny. There's the events that happen spontaneously, and the events that you can kind of put on the calendar. Like we knew Pujols was going to get to 700 home runs. It's just a
right.
question of when, and you know you're anticipating that, or Bonds back in the day breaking the home run record, or I'm just thinking of things in my collecting lifetime that were big deals. And I think there's a big difference between the impulse, wow, this happened, holy crap,
The tops now
versus
purchase, right?
something that takes some time to
Well,
come to fruition.
I also thought, and here's a third one for you, and this was the coolest stat I've heard all year in cards. When Adley Rutschman was called up, Johnny Bench's prices went up
Why?
because people were talking about Adley being the next Johnny Bench, and people started talking about Johnny Bench.
Okay. That's fascinating. The kind
Yeah.
of carryover effect of discussing one player leads to the price rise of another.
Isn't that the most baseball American, Americana thing ever? Yeah, the passing down of the story, that learning of the players before you. So to me, that it was very cool in a lot of ways.
Do you
Um,
think do you
yeah,
think last year with Judge making the assault on the American League home run record that Maris cards saw an uptick in interest?
sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
And
have
if
any
and
data
if
to
not
support that.
Maris, certainly I think Griffey's had an uptick in
Okay.
popularity. I think because he was the clean guy.
Right.
I think Judge brought a lot of attention to a lot of those guys.
Yeah, I don't have a Judge auto either in my collection. He won the MVP last year. Now that you're making me think about all the holes in my collection. Thanks. But
Yeah, do what I can.
I did bring up Judge, but that ancillary, that kind of cast off effect, I guess, of talking about a record. You're talking about who had the record and who's going to have the record, and therefore both players are being spoken about often on Sports Center and other things. Hey Goose, what are you
If
doing, man?
if somebody got to 4 or 5 no hitters in their career,
Yes. Well,
well,
then they're going to talk about Nolan Ryan, right, and Sandy
exactly.
Koufax, and you'll have that. He's challenging Nolan Ryan's record or what, and you'll be, oh, that's
And that could
Nolan
be
Ryan.
somebody with 5 good games in their career. I mean, obviously a good pitcher, but you
Sure.
know, there is, I think baseball is, and we are baseball centric, but baseball is unique, I think, in that where the historical connections.
Well, I promise you, if someone gets 90 points in in an NBA game, they're going to talk about Wilt's 100-point game, and Wilt Chamberlain cards will become increasingly popular. And I think that in basketball, it's not career achievements because did LeBron see an uptick when he broke Kareem's scoring record? I
I
didn't
think
hear a lot about it, but
I think baseball loves numbers more than other sports.
right. So Messi, scores 5 goals in a game or what, if he did something miraculous or whatever, would you go buy Messi cards?
Well, he just won another Ballon d'Or. Did that really make people run out and say, "Oh, this guy's got a chance"?
right. Now, what'll be interesting to see is you also have the effect of what sports can do, these trigger things. Trout comes out next year and just goes nuts, right? I mean, his card prices have plummeted.
It's an excellent point.
A player that comes back from injury, that being a trigger to, if DeGrom came back mid next season and just goes nuts,
Does that
before he's
make you
hurt.
want? Does that make you want to buy it, or are you asking me if it moves the needle for me?
Well, obviously, we can talk personally, and then maybe just the hobby. And would that move the hobby to make their cards more popular?
I don't know. That's why I was asking. To counterpoint you, I do think that the hobby is resistant unless there's some buildup. Very rarely in baseball, I think, is it an overnight pop. I think baseball is more of a buildup. And like you said, that 700th home run, is coming. Things like that. And if Trout puts together another season, you couldn't be more right. I mean, but he's as big of a name as the sport has. I mean, imagine where Shohei prices are going to be after he starts pitching again. I mean, it's going to be a
Yeah,
year and a half till we see him on a mound.
for the Rangers, which would be great because he's going to sign with us.
I,
But
I heard that rumor.
um, yeah, I mean, I think it's hype, right? Oh, Shohei's pitching. It's going to be a big deal. Again, whoever he's pitching for, it won't matter. wow, Shohei's taking the mound again, and that there will be build up to that.
Yeah.
In the sports world, bleeding over then into the card world, and so that'll be a big deal.